Today on Commander Replay, we're back with some more Winota EDH. Find out which of our opponents survived the aggro onslaught and which ones don't, next on Commander Replay. If you're still interested in playing paper games of Commander with me for the cost of $10 over WEBCAM, I've added a few more dates on Eventbrite. So I've added more Saturdays, I've added a couple Fridays, and I've also added a couple Sundays into the mix. So if you guys are interested, be sure to check out the Eventbrite link. I'll post that in the description below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Winota, Join Our Forces CEDH today. Take a look at this opening hand. Actually looks pretty good. 2 lands, Soul Ring, both colors, Ornithopter, one that I'm interested in testing out, and some other cool stuff. Grand Abolisher is also nice. Let's go ahead and keep that. And we won the die roll, so we'll be playing first today, so I'm feeling pretty good about this game. We got a nice opening hand. We're on the play. All really good stuff. We got this Soul Ring. Yeah. Watch, there's going to be like a turn 2 Collector Oof or something like that. And that'll bring it to our turn 1. We draw a Springleaf Drum, getting even better all the ramp. Play the Marsh Flats, crack the Marsh Flats, get Plateau, get Soul Ring, get Springleaf Drum, Hope of Ghirapur, and Ornithopter. Affinity.deck, pass the turn. That's a pretty good turn 1. That's probably about as good as turn 1s get for this deck. I don't know how much more we could ask for. So hopefully opponents don't rip us apart right here. That would be unfortunate. There's a Brainstorm for opponent. So as I mentioned, we are playing Winota, Join Our Forces. It is 2 Boros for a 4/4. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature from among them onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. Pretty good. Maybe the best aggressive Boros commander ever? Maybe? It's so incredibly strong. It takes so little for Winota to be good. It's like, it's pretty much a must shoot. Like, you can't just leave it there. But it does have some pretty severe deck building restrictions, which is a little bit unfortunate. So that power does come at a cost. And for something like CEDH, where the way you build your deck matters a lot, in the sense of you do need to have interaction. The deck wants you to run a lot of creatures, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for protection, interaction, just things that find your lands, other stuff. It doesn't leave room for other stuff. You have so many creatures in the deck that it does get a little bit tough. So that's something I'm still trying to balance out. Still have a lot of questions about this deck, about, you know, what direction should really be going, and this, that, and the other thing. Anyway, it brings it back to our turn. We draw a Signal Pest, another one that I'm interested in trying out, but I don't know if we're going to get that in this turn. We may or may not. Let's get our commander. Hope this doesn't get countered. Hope for no Force of Wills right here. It has resolved. Now hope we don't get bounced into oblivion. I'm going to go to combat. We'll swing into Kinnan and Okaun. 0 damage off of the Ornithopter, but it does get us a trigger. So that was something I was asking myself. Like, Ornithopter doesn't have a huge amount of impact, but it does get you extra Winota triggers. We're seeing it on turn 1, which is ideal. I don't know if it's still good later in the game. That's a question that I have. So, oh, this first one. Well, we hit some stuff right here. It's a lot of humans. I'm going to go for the Combat Celebrant. I think that's the closest thing we have to, like, a finisher. Send that into Champ, I guess. Get our second trigger. I did have a whiff in the last game, which was, like, super annoying because there are a lot of humans in this deck. North of 20. What do we got? Ooh, we got Pia and Kieran Nalaar and a Pia Nalaar. Awkward that they're right next to each other, but we'll take the bigger one. Gets us more tokens. And we'll attack Champ once again. And we'll get ourselves some Thopter tokens. We are well set up for next turn. There's a Mystical Tutor for opponent. I wonder if that's going to be a board wipe. Blasphemous Act to be a problem. It's a Pongify. Pongify is interesting. Doesn't wipe our board, though, so that's good. But it will... We won't be able to get Winota triggers, because they'll surely shoot that. Oh, we could... Oh, no, we're hitting the wrong player with the Hope of Ghirapur. Until your next turn, target player who was dealt combat damage by Hope of Ghirapur can't cast non-creature spells. Oh, no. All right. Opponent goes down to 32. That's a really big hit for turn 2. That's... Yeah, they don't get much bigger than that. We'll tap our Winota to play the Signal Pest. Another thing I've been thinking about, too, and, like, things have been going, like, super well for us in this game, especially with the turn 1 Soul Ring, but With this Jeru, right now there's only the one Gideon in the deck. I'm thinking about a second Planeswalker just in case you like randomly draw Gideon or it gets milled or something. And what that second Planeswalker should be. I thought about the Ajani that can bring stuff back. Thinking about like a Chandra Torch of Defiance isn't awful. Even like a Johnny Vengeant is not a terrible card. You can tap down like Gaia's Cradle. You can shoot Mana Dorks. You can shoot other things with 3 toughness. Kinnan, Thrasios, all that kind of stuff. So like, there's some room to explore there. But again, deck slots in this deck are just super tight. When you're talking about just like all the humans ever printed and all the non-humans ever printed, there are a lot of those. It's really hard to narrow in on what you want. Opponent did lay down a Mystic Remora. Yep. Luckily we got most of our stuff in before that. They would have drawn a lot of cards. Hopefully we can catch, what's it called? Brave the Elements off the top and protect our Winota when they try to Pongify it in a second. Or we can kind of force the action with Grand Abolisher. Do we have 2 white? Yeah, we can get a white with the Springleaf Drum. This is a radical departure from the last game I played with this about 20 minutes before this. And I got land stuck in that game. I kept a bad hand. Kept a hand with Red Elemental Blast, and there were no blue opponents. You're just like, awesome, dead card. Sweet. And got strip mined and just ate a few pieces of removal. That all wasn't great. Well, that's awkward. This Jeru, much less impactful. Let's see if we can catch opponent sleeping and resolve this Grand Abolisher. I guess we'll tap one of the humans. Didn't work. Opponent's gonna Pongify the Winota. Yep. And I tap my lands awkwardly where we can't really cast anything else. Oops. Land off the top and we could be back on Winota mana. Another thing I'm thinking about in this deck, I think this deck probably just needs Lightning Greaves. Protection is important. Gives us an ape. That's another non-human. Question is, oh man, if we catch that land, yeah, we probably don't exert the Combat Celebrant right here because of the fact that if we catch a land, we're back on Winota. We'll send everything at Zachary Ryan for shooting our thing. Signal Pest is going to Battle Cry, pump everything up. This was an interaction that I did think about, by the way, with the Signal Pest and the Ornithopter that, yeah, sure, Ornithopter doesn't have any power naturally, but there are things in the deck that can pump it up, so that will make it more valuable. Puts him down to 28. That's not a bad hit. Was hoping for a little bit more, but with Winota gone, we're going to have to wait. Cumulative upkeep on the Mystic Remora. Opponent lets it go. Did they even get anything? I think they drew 1 card. They're going to Gitaxian Probe us. They can see our Jeru and our Gideon of the Trials. Plays a Lenoir Elves. Sure. Ooh, Ancient Tomb for the Okaun Zndrsplt opponent. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing, by the way. First up, we have Champion of Thune piloting Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. I've seen this one a bit while trying to test this Winota deck, and it's pretty strong. He was saying it does tend to lose to some of the other blue-based combo decks in CEDH. They tend to be a little bit faster and just, you know, have their game plan together a little bit more. He said it's fast and glassy, so that's been his experience with it. It's definitely interesting and it's definitely powerful, so we'll keep an eye on it. Once it comes in play, they just make so much mana. It's just insane what they can do. Next up, we have Zachary Ryan piloting Okaun Zndrsplt. Interesting pair. I've seen him play this deck a few times, and so this deck has a ton of counterspells in it, like a serious amount of counterspells. Getting Grand Abolisher down is actually a really big deal for us. But this deck's interesting because you don't need a lot of other creatures in the deck, because Okaun can just get to player killing amounts of power very quickly, and then you use something cheap to make it unblockable. I think he's got Fall of the Hammer or whatever, the other one that deals damage equal to the power to a player. So, you know, these two by themselves draw you a ton of cards. They put big threats in play. It's a very strong deck, backed up by a lot of counterspells. Now, unfortunately, opponent's going to control magic, our Combat Celebrant. I don't actually think I have a Homeward Path in this deck. Usually I roll with that. That will slow us down. That was going to be a big finisher for us. Do we get that back if we kill them? I forget how that works. Never fully understand what's supposed to happen when you kill a player that has your permanents. And then finally, we have 2 Weens piloting Gadwick the Wizened. Ooh, here comes Brawl. So, also a counterspell deck? Maybe a bad time to be playing combo? We need that Grand Abolisher to stay alive. That is a thing that must happen. Otherwise, we're gonna have a bad time. I'm still trying to figure out what the finisher in this deck needs to be as well. So, like, how big you should go, because running 6 drops is a little scary if they get stuck in your hand. It's not really where you want to be, but I'm running Scroll Rack. I've started running Sensei's Divining Top because what you draw matters. You do not want to draw your 5 and 6 drops. So if you can take a look before they show up and keep them, out of your hand, that's really, really important. Take a look at the activated ability on this thing again. Sacrifice an artifact, does 2 damage to any target. Well, that seems pretty good, right? How much toughness does this thing have? It's a 2/2. Nice. That seems pretty good. Talisman. Talisman puts us back on Winota next turn. So I think send everything at Okaun Zndrsplt. Sounds like the plan. We gonna have any blockers because I want to cast this Gideon afterwards. Oh, actually we can't get Jeru and the Talisman. Gonna leave back the Ornithopter just as a blocker for the Gideon. We may need to leave the second thing back. Leave back a Thopter. Battle Cry will trigger. It's gonna be a hit with the Grand Abolisher and the Ape going in. Opponent's gonna feel this. They go down to 12. Nice. Play the Talisman. Play Gideon. And I'm not using the Spring Leaf because I want to keep these up for blockers. Make an emblem. So I don't think we're going to run into Consultation at all this game. But this is actually a legit plan against Consultation Thassa's Oracle. Because now they have to interact with your Gideon before they can do that. So it's not saying it's impossible, but it makes an extra hoop for them to have to jump through. And it's pretty efficiently costed, and it's just like another thing to have to think about. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Also, interestingly, Niv Mizzet is a thing. If you use the +1, you could put that on the Niv Mizzet and prevent that combo from going off. So yeah, getting into the trials, cool piece of tech. And I'm not sure that I would run it everywhere, but with this little thing we can do with Jeru, where potentially we cast it out of our library and get the ETB, seems nice. There's a Soul Ring for opponent. There's a Spellseeker. Cyclonic Rift. Oh no, he's on a... I played against Champ with this deck before. He plays, what's the name of it? Isochron Scepter. It's an Isochron Scepter reversal deck. That's a problem. It's a problem. Gets a Noxious Revival. Okay, that's not any of his combos. That's good. Maybe just trying to get the Mystic Remora back. He's got 7 cards in hand. I have, like, no idea what he has. It's been on a weirdly slow plan. We're just hoping on no removal right now. If no removal happens, we recast Winota, and we still have Grand Abolisher in play, so that should resolve. Combat should happen, and we're going to get a lot of triggers, and we're going to hit things really hard. Everflowing Chalice, kick 2 times. I'm fine with that. Opponent down to 10 off the Ancient Tomb. Got to be careful with that. There's a land. Opponent's going to Soul's Fire on our Grand Abolisher. Crap. Well, that's one of their win conditions. Now the question is, does Gadwick have a counter spell? If that's the case, we're not going to get Winota into play. Unless they tap out. That's an instant. I'm surprised they didn't hold that. Spellbook for opponent. Sure. Oh, opponent just leaving mana up. That sucks. That sucks. Cavern of Souls? Yeah, maybe this deck needs a Cavern of Souls. Oh, those are so expensive. There's a Tajik. Try our commander. See what happens. Gotta try it, right? They didn't have a counterspell earlier. Maybe they do now. It's been a few turns, but... Yeah, we're gonna have to use the Spring Leaf Drum. We will tap. Guess we'll tap the human. Try to get the maximum number of triggers. Please resolve. It resolved. Alright. Animate Gideon. Go to combat. Opponent's gonna blink it. Yep. Alright. So, that means that gets blinked. We should kill Zachary Ryan. There's some chance that this Combat Celebrant comes back, because I really, truly don't understand when things come back and when they don't. When opponent steals them and you kill them. But we should use the Hope of Gear Report to hit the Gadwick so we can prevent them from countering our stuff. Maybe that doesn't work. Actually, that doesn't work, yeah, because they'll still be able to counter us back on our turn. It's pretty annoying. Where are we going with this stuff? Go to combat. Flyers at Zachary Ryan. Do we have to send everything and, like, risk getting our Combat Celebrant killed? I don't love that. If we had an extra mana, we could bolt them. We don't have extra mana, though. They won't be able to use Ancient Tomb. That's a thing. Anything here of Vigilance? Gideon's going to be at risk. Yeah, attack like that. I was thinking about trying to leave blockers for Gideon, but... we should have left one. Yeah, crap. Opponent's going to Noxious Revival a land back to the top of their deck. That's fine. Opponent's going to block with a Spellseeker. Opponent goes down to 5. Yeah, I really wish we took them out. Really wish we took them out. But again, I'm trying to, and I don't know. I'm trying to kill them and try to get this combat celebrant back, because I think it should work if the control magic goes away. Oh, that's a Finale of Devastation X3. That's interesting. What's opponent getting? Reclamation Sage. Wonder what this goes after. Goes after the Signal Pest. Yeah, that's a pretty good source of damage. Makes me sad. Who'd have thought? Signal Pest's so good. I mean, maybe this deck just needs to be straight up Affinity. Maybe we just get some Ravagers in here. Just like Affinity and Protection spells. Opponent plays a Zndrsplt right here, and this is nice. They use the Ancient Tomb, puts them down to 3. Should a board wipe happen, we just swing in with this Tajik and kill them. So that's a good thing. Do think this deck could use some recursion, though. Thinking about that Ajani, it's one of the newer ones. I can't remember the name of it, but gets back creatures, what, 2 power or less? Or is it 2 CMC or less? One of the two. Probably 2 CMC. So Zndrsplt into play, and now we got to be careful, because now it's up to a coin flip, but they just start drawing cards like crazy, and it's kind of ridiculous. They drew 0. Nice. I've seen it draw like 5 or 6 in a single go. See if opponent wants to attack. They could take out our Gideon. Did leave that unprotected. Probably wasn't the smartest. Nope. Sweet. There's a Strip Mine. Play the Strip Mine. So, I mean, does it make sense to keep trying Winota, even though they'll probably just, like, counter and bounce? If they have anything, they will use it. If we go for the other stuff, they may not. Let's just try it. We have potentially 2 colored mana with the Tajik, and I think that's actually relevant because Tajik protects our team from red removal, and I think that's a pretty big deal. Winota can't attack anyway, so we'll use Winota to make some white mana right here. Ooh, interesting. Opponent's going to Weight of Spires and blow up our Hope of Girapur, so they get 2 damage out of it. We don't have a legal target to sacrifice it, so animate Gideon. Go to combat. Hope this works. Hope this works. Get down to the praying. We are going to declare attackers. This should be good. Try to attack in a way to keep our stuff alive. Make sure we take out Okaun Zndrsplt. We only have 2 flyers left. Oh, wow. That sucks. We can mentor. We can mentor. Nice. Attack into the counterspell player. They seem to be a thorn for us. Pia's not really doing that much, so I'm going to leave that back as a blocker for Gideon. Swing like that. What was that? Is that 4? 4 triggers? Yeah. Mentor onto this flyer. How about that? Getting that mentor ability going in Commander. Get some Winota triggers. Hopefully we can kill everyone. That's what I'm really hoping on. Palace Jailer. I think I'm going to send that into 2 Weens. I think I'm going to get rid of the Brawl. Brawl is a very powerful card. We become the Monarch. It's pretty cool. Brawl gets exiled. More Winota triggers. Ooh, that's a Thalia and a Dire Fleet Captain. We don't have any mana up. That sucks. If we had mana up. Yeah, in that case, go Thalia. Thalia makes life terrible for everyone. Maybe Thalia into Champion? Get a Gerard, that's board wipe protection. And 1 final Winota trigger. Oh, Gold Knight Commander, it showed up late. Oh, no, that sucks. We needed that one to show up first. Bummer. I've been wondering about this one for this particular build, because we're not running a lot of the 6-drops that make a ton of tokens. Without those, it's maybe a little more underwhelming. More question marks, more question marks. Opponent's going to block the Gerard. In the last game I played, or 2 games ago, Gerard was super good. Someone tried to board wipe, it brought all our stuff back, and we just kept on keeping on. Eventually won that game. Opponent goes down, puts him to exactly 0. Nice. We get a trigger at our end step. Remaining opponents are at 17 and 26. We get the combat celebrant back. That's what I thought, because the control magic goes away, and then the control shifts back, so yeah. Opponents need a board wipe. Opponents need a board wipe. Here comes Kinnan. We need to not just lose right here. Give this the old read again. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. Here comes Gadwick into play. Sure. Opponent's gonna Mystical Tutor. Sure. But with the combat celebrant, we should be on lethal. Do they have a way to... so they put Rift on top of their library. I think it's going to be too late, though. They're also at a blue mana right now. Oh, I think we're golden. I think we are golden. Yeah, he scoops it. He sees it. Opponent said I beat him down with the most unassuming board of Thopters. Yeah, opponent doesn't have anything. No, he's getting there. So yeah, with the Combat Celebrant. That's why I was trying to keep that alive, because I knew if we untap with that and our commander, that's going to be game with all the stuff we had out there. Boom. All right, Winota CDH having a little bit of success, not facing tier 1 decks, but still facing very strong decks. So I'm sure there's going to be lots of tweaks that still need to get made to this deck. I'm still like in the decision-making process of even like what's the best thing to do. At this exact second in time, right now I'm on the Aura Touched Mage Breath of Fury plan, which I almost got to work in the last game. It came in, got the Breath of Fury attached, and someone swords the mage. Which, you know, that's just going to happen sometimes. If that's a must-kill target, I mean, I guess I'm fine with that, because if it survives, then... in that specific scenario, there were no creatures on board, so I think it would have just killed everyone. Assuming we didn't, like, whiff on the triggers, but... so that's what I'm working on right now. I need to figure out this 5 and 6 converted mana cost slot. It's, like, a really, really tricky thing in the deck. Like I said, you do not want to draw these things. You want to be getting them with the trigger. They are super awkward when you draw them. And again, that's why we're running Scroll Rack, we're running Sensei's Divining Top. Had a Faithless Looting, you know, deck slots are just tight. Maybe you get rid of, maybe Faithless Looting comes back just so if you draw one of them, you can just dump it in the graveyard. Maybe Mistveil planes it back to the bottom at some point, but it's been a super tricky space to navigate. But yeah, this game, just our opening hand was incredible. I don't expect that you're going to have openers like this every time. Soul Ring into Ornithopter into Signal Pest was fantastic. Oh, and Springleaf Drum. That is a lot of our fast mana. Yeah, that is a good chunk of our fast mana, so I'm not expecting to have starts like that every time. And the question is, what happens in those other starts? I was running Mox Opal for a second, but I'm also not sure how quickly Metalcraft is going to be online every time. I've added a few artifacts back to the deck, so maybe a little quicker. If you have enough artifacts, then you think about Mox Opal. So just a lot of things, a lot of questions that I'm still trying to answer. Another thing that I've been thinking about, and I think I touched upon it, is that, so, you know, I've kind of loaded back up on these mirrors. Potentially you load up on like 2 mana acceleration, and then if you do a lot of that, then it makes more sense to have more 5 and 6 drops. You know, at least get maybe the 2 best 6 drops, maybe a Godo. With Godo, if you can give your stuff Vigilance or have Reconnaissance in play, which you probably want anyway, then that extra attack is going to be super, super deadly. So that's all a thing to think about. The deck has mana troubles, and Godo makes me think Feast and Famine is also a thing. But then you have that whole awkward waiting to untap thing. Someone said they were using Embercleave. Embercleave is definitely cool. None of the stuff in this deck is like huge, so, you know, it'll get you some damage and it'll get you trample and all that kind of good stuff, but it's not going to be like Commander lethal right there a lot of the time, unless the game's been going for a minute. They already have low life totals. So, yeah, still a lot of questions, still a lot of things I'm working out. Just a lot of choices to work through. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have one new Patreon supporter in Austin Gusenhoven. Austin, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And be sure to use the TCG affiliate player link, as it helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything.